When you think of flavor, you usually don't think of protein, but both of these factors are heavily influenced by the element of sulfur. For the next of the 17 essential nutrients series, we're going to be talking about sulfur and why it is so important to the flavor you get in cabbage, Brussels sprouts, onions, garlic, you name it, all the way to the protein content of your food. So let's get into it. So number one is sulfur is responsible for proteins. Now this doesn't just include the legume family, which is notoriously famous for having higher levels of protein. All plants have protein in them, varying levels of it, but if you want to maximize said protein, sulfur is the answer. The reason for this is because every single amino acid that contains an S in it contains sulfur, and therefore it is needed as a building block for that amino acid. And it's something like 90% of plant proteins have sulfur in it, and that's why it's so integral to the protein content of the vegetable itself. Now, it's also responsible for activation of enzymes and just enzymatic processes or biological processes that take place within the plant. So the plant in and of itself isn't just necessarily taking nutrients in and pushing it into different spaces. It's actually utilizing nutrients in different ways, and sulfur is one of those ones that is unique in the sense that it is a part of enzymatic reactions, which not all nutrients are a part of that process. Now, the other one is that it actually affects flavor. So think of skunky smells, cabbage, garlic, onions, leeks, turnips, radishes, all of them. They all require sulfur. So without it, you get less flavor, some argue, and so therefore it's something that you want to add. Now, the reason why this is a nutrient that you very likely need to consider adding is because it is a secondary macronutrient, meaning it is still a macronutrient, it's needed in large quantities, but it is secondary to N, P, and K. However, it is definitely the top of the secondary macros, because if you ever see a fertilizer bag with 4 numbers on it, the 4th number every single time is going to be sulfur. And this actually comes down to the fact that we've started to realize the importance of sulfur. So as even a farmer, you can buy a blend with 4 numbers on it. Because of this reason, it increases the protein, which farmers are going for when you're growing wheat, for example. It's very important for bread making. Dempsters will only buy a certain percentage of protein at the elevator. Number 2 is it actually helps with oil content. So if you do oil seeds like canola, you again want to make sure there's a decent amount of sulfur there. Just a fun little side fact as to how important it is. If the producers are doing it, you definitely want to do it because they do it for money, you do it for fun. It also is in chlorophyll. Now, the reason why you want to add this, because it is mobile in the soil and it is mobile in the plant, meaning it's going where it's needed, whether it's in the soil, out of the reach of the plant, or it's in the plant itself. Due to that fact, it does get leached, it does get moved around, it gets pushed out of the root zones, and you may need to consider adding it, particularly if you have a soil that has a low cation exchange capacity, such as a sandier soil, or you have a soil that continually gets flooded with water or is saturated, etc. and so forth. All of these factors play into you needing to add sulfur. Determining if you have a sulfur deficiency is incredibly easy. It is when you have very light green leaves on the top, and all the leaves surrounding that, below that, are darker green. And all you have to do is literally look down and you will see it. It is so blatantly obvious when you have a sulfur deficiency. They say they'll be pale yellow. They literally are just a lighter green. That's how you know. If you're on the fence and you're thinking to yourself, I'm not sure it's sulfur, I think it actually could be nitrogen, because that's another thing that happens when there's a nitrogen deficiency. You don't just lose the leaves at the bottom, you get a little bit yellowing or lighter green leaves throughout the plant. The way to correct this is to use the most bioavailable source of nitrogen, give it an immediate nitrogen source, and if the plant continues to produce lighter colored green leaves, or the lighter colored green leaves don't correct themselves within a week, then that is your sign that you have a sulfur deficiency. And then you can go ahead with the sulfur application. If you've never applied sulfur, just apply the sulfur anyways with the nitrogen. If you're gonna go that route, if you're like, I've never applied sulfur, it may be a nitrogen deficiency, so I'm gonna apply nitrogen too, apply ammonium. Urea is a great example of this, because sulfur uptake is amplified when ammonium is present. they just kind of scoot together into the plant. And so that's actually one way you can increase the uptake of sulfur and make it more effective, if you will. The uptake is actually via mass flow. And so this is kind of unique in and of itself. And of course it has to be in the proper pH range because that is the way soil works. She's just a fussy, fussy lady. Roots and soil both have charges and they need to play nice with each other. When it comes to sulfur toxicity, this one is fun because it increases the salt concentration that your plant uptakes. And so you will get what shows up as a salt stress. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that sulfur is incredibly mobile along with salts. So when in doubt, flush it out. Very simple solution. So it actually isn't one where we're super concerned about toxicity because it's pretty darn rare that it's not fixable, and it's not fixable fast. It's one of those nutrients where you can't screw it up for the most part, unless you're me. Then you'd be shocked what you can do. Now, with that being said, sulfur is not just useful for the actual plant itself. Sulfur can be used to fight fungal issues. For example, I very often will use a sulfur powder to fight powdery mildew, and I love it. So it smells a little bit, a lot, but it works wonderfully. The other one you could actually use it for is you could use like a puck. You can get a sulfur puck. It smokes, it smells gross too, but it actually is also equally as effective. Now, with that being said, if you put it in your soil and you put it in your soil in excess and you use mycelium fungi, there's a potential that you're going to limit the hyphae extensions. If you have mushrooms, I probably would not put a bunch of sulfur down because your mushrooms may struggle. I wouldn't dump a bunch of sulfur into your compost, particularly if you have something that's higher in fungal content, because again, it can do some damage. So keep that in mind. Fungus and sulfur do not get along, and you want to watch out for that. Now, if you want to learn more on the world of mycelium fungi, then you want to check out this video right here, and that video is what Google says you should watch. So I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!